I'm Barbara Rosario for ISSNAF Stories, and we are with Professor Alessandro Sette of the La Jolla Institute for Immunology. Our viewers may notice that we already have an ISSNAF story with Professor Sette, but we wanted to have an update following the announcement of Alex joining the board of ISSNAF. So thank you, Alex, for being here, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm excited to be spending some time with you and also excited to join the board. In the last few years, I've been working very closely with different members of the board and the president in terms of the more of a scientific perspective. But the board really brings another dimension that is very, very important. Over the last year, I worked together with the governance of the board for an important mission, which was to increase the representation of the board. Some members are rotating away from the board, that is natural. But also, we really wanted to increase the representation of the board in terms of different competences and different geographical representation, because ISSNAF really wants to reach everywhere in the United States and Canada. So it has been very, very enjoyable. And it's a lot of work that needs to be done in the board, for example, in fundraising to ensure that ISSNAF is in a healthy economical situation, and different events, and globally also addressing the topic of interfacing with Italy and the training and the mentorship. So lots of very interesting things. I'm very excited.
It is exciting. So buon lavoro. I encourage the viewers to check out the interview of last year, where Alex talks about his personal and professional journey from from Italy to San Diego, and his influential work on COVID-19, T-cell response, and much more. And the link is in the comments here below. I have just a couple of follow-up questions, Alex. Is there any latest development of your research that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. So as you were bringing up, last time we talked, we were on the exit, on the transitioning in the post-COVID scenario. So first of all, I want to emphasize that COVID is not gone. The pandemic is gone, but still it's around. It causes infections, it causes deaths. And the susceptible population should still pay attention and be protective as much as possible. But we're transitioning towards operationally something that is somewhat similar to the flu. So the flu is there every year. People do get sick, and there is a vaccine. People should be vaccinated. The vaccines are updated. And so forth. And also the other point is that, like in the case of flu, now the general population, also in the case of COVID, is a common instance that everybody has been infected multiple times, vaccinated multiple times. So there is what we call an immunity wall that helps to blunt the effect of the disease. In our lab, in general, at the La Jolla Institute, we have been interested in a number of different components. A lot of the current work is also in applying the lessons that we learned from COVID to protect from future potential pandemics. And there are a number of different viral families the WHO and NIH has really pointed the finger to as these are viral family where a potential future pandemic could come from. And so we're studying T-cell responses in a preemptive way, if you wish, against those viral families, so that if a situation were to occur, we would be more ready. So that's one big area of effort for the lab. Then we have been working also, my lab in collaboration with the Professor Alba Grifoni, that is also here at the La Jolla Institute. We've been reacting to outbreaks. For example, there has been in 2022 and now in 2024 outbreaks of Mpox. 2022 outbreak spilled over also in the US and Europe. The current upgrade is more limited to Central Africa. There was a lot of concern that might over as well. And then another situation that has been on the radar of the scientific community and also of the general community is this new clade of highly pathogenic avian influenza. And so we have been monitoring the situation, and there also we've been studying the hypothesis whether there is some degree of pre-existing immunity against just a regular human influenza that would cross-react with the avian flu. And it looks like there is a fair amount of T-cell cross-reactivity, which again may blunt the severity of disease should the avian flu jump into humans. But that all remains to be seen. So we're constantly on the go for new viruses. And then lastly, one other point that I'd like to mention is that one of the effects or phenomena associated with the post-COVID has been the resurgence of a number of different diseases. And one of them, for example, is pertussis. So essentially what happened during COVID, there was a lockdown, and so people didn't go anywhere, didn't mingle, and a lot of infectious diseases essentially went away because people were locked up. And then when people started to lead a normal life again, all these diseases came back with a vengeance because also people did not have the population didn't have as much of a natural immunity, if you wish, from asymptomatic exposure and so forth. And so we're seeing a lot of these situations, and we are studying pertussis, which is, of course, a bacterial infection. And we are also developing a program now in group A streptococcus, which is strep. It's another, everybody got strep, right? But in some cases, it's linked to very serious effects, and also can trigger autoimmune disease and so forth. So those are some of the things that are going on right now at the La Jolla Institute and in my lab.
Well, very interesting. A lot of work then of the scientific communities, but can you also comment on the current preparedness of the pharmaceutical and general communities to face the new pandemic, especially after the lessons of COVID-19? Did we learn anything from, and what?
Not sure. I mean, certainly there has been a lot of lessons learned, and some of the lessons, I think for us, was the notion that it may be difficult to prevent infections, but it's possible or more easy to prevent severe disease, which is ultimately what you want. And there is a lot of effort by a number of different groups and funding agencies, again, in preparing against potential future targets and future pandemics. There has also been work in terms of technology development, maybe trivial things, but for example, we remember that the mRNA vaccines had to be kept super, super cold, and that was a logistical challenge. So these things like this are being worked out. And lastly, again, for example, in the case of Mpox, there has been a lot of effort in terms of making vaccines available to the African countries that where the disease is currently focused. And again, perhaps it's an old lesson, but no infectious disease is a disease that we don't need to worry about, because someone's problem eventually can and will become everybody's problem if it's not taken care of.
Well, thank you very much, Alex, for this update. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Always nice to see you.
Thank you. You too.